What's up, everybody? This is Backlog Gaming here. I am finally back from kind of a little bit of a break from YouTube before we got right into the VR season with the Oculus Rift finally shipping for me, which is big news. But I wanted to talk today about the PlayStation 4.5. Now, the PlayStation 4.5, the rumors have been circulating about this console that Sony's working on. We're going to see more of it most likely at E3, probably get a release date around September in 2016 for the holiday of this PlayStation 4.5. Now, not only is this PlayStation 4.5 more powerful than the previous one, I'm not going to even worry about that in this discussion. Just strictly looking at it to how does it affect me and kind of analyzing maybe the possible other aspects of the spectrum of other people's feelings about PlayStation 4.5 and really what's going on with the gaming community in general and what this could potentially mean for console gaming in the future. So, first off, my first impressions of PlayStation 4.5, I was kind of a little bit skeptical, but once they announced that both games on the PlayStation 4 and 4.5 will both work on both systems, just one's going to run it a little bit better, that kind of sucks, but I don't play my PlayStation 4 enough to warrant buying another console. So, me being in that category, let's have a quick discussion about potentially what would Sony do to sell me a console. Basically, what are they going to do to get me a sale? What bullet points would they have to put on the box? What would they potentially have to do? Some of this is going to be crazy, off the wall type of stuff. Others, theoretically it could happen, but it's going to be some outlandish stuff. That's what you would have to do to get me to spend another $400. Number one, it's going to have to be PlayStation 3 backwards compatible. I would love to see it be PlayStation 2 backwards compatible and regular PlayStation backwards compatible if somehow they could work that. Now, would this potentially happen? Most likely not. But if I could trade in my PlayStation 3, my PlayStation 4, and then from there potentially sell my PlayStation 2, my old system, to try and get a little bit of revenue towards the PlayStation 4.5, that might be a selling point. What would even tip the scale further, and what I really think Sony should do, is that the PlayStation Vita is on its last whim. Sony's never really supported the PlayStation Vita the way they should have. I feel like with PlayStation 4.5, just bundle the Vita in with it. If you're not even going to do that, what I recommend is actually having a slot. You know how they had the PlayStation TVs? I have one of those that has a slot for the Vita games. It's so small that it could be a console add-on easily. Just slot it in the front to where you could slide it in and it would hook up. Or already have one there, and then that way you have a one center console that you can play virtually every Vita game, mostly every Vita video game. Now, with the PlayStation 4 motion controls, you might be able to play every single one, and especially with the touchpad, that could potentially happen to where it doesn't use the PlayStation 3 controller, it uses the PlayStation 4 controller, if they worked on something like that with the sensory in the system. Another thing is that if they did this, this would allow you to basically have everything in the PSN market in one utilized place. You'd be able to play PlayStation portable games. You'd be able to play PlayStation Vita games. You'd be able to play your PlayStation 1 classics, your PS2 classics. You'd be able to play, obviously, PlayStation 3 digital titles. And you would be able to play any formatted disc that is essentially back release. That would be the kicker. That's how Sony could respond to Microsoft becoming backwards compatible with the Xbox 360 in a more significant scale, a kind of a better way than Microsoft can do. Plus, if they bundle in the Vita, that obviously opens up the remote play. Some people do like that feature, but really, you're not supporting the Vita hardware. You're not doing any first-party games for it, so you might as well just dump the Vitas, just throw them at the customers for free and see if it sticks. You never know what could happen potentially when you start doing something like that. Maybe someone that wasn't interested in the Vita is now all of a sudden interested in it because you gave it to them for free. That could create a new pool for that market of that software. Another thing that I would recommend that 4.5 would have to do for me personally to sell me on the system is that They kind of hinted at this with there may not be a PlayStation 5, let's say, that this may be the last iteration of the console. So if they had it to where it was modular, and this is kind of where me looking at it like a PC aspect, but if they made it simpler for individuals. I'm not saying that console owners are dumbed down or anything like that when it comes to modifying or upgrading a system. A lot of people like simplicity to where I plug the system in, it works. Plain and simple. I buy this game, it's going to work on this box. I don't have to worry about it. Now, what they could do is slidable. Then nobody's posted pictures of the 4.5 dev kits that were shipped out, and Sony specifically requested that people don't do that. So, in that sense of mind, what I'm thinking is that it is swappable. That maybe the 4.5 will be the base, the mobile, the motherboard, the RAM, the processor. Then the graphics card itself is going to be interchangeable to where maybe they release a higher end graphics card. You're able to swap said piece out and swap new piece in, and it's just a click simple as sliding in and out like the expansion pack for the N64, working up some feature on how that functions, I think would make it simple enough for consoles owners to not feel like, okay, now I got to crack open this system. I have to find the graphics card, I have to remove it, plug in all these wires, and reinsert it and boot it back up. I feel if it's a sliding motion that it detaches completely, this is graphics card, whatever, A, here's graphics card B, slide in, boom, it's done. I feel like that would be a lot simpler and a lot more effective on the console market. So if they're able to do that, then upgrades that would follow would be like PlayStation 5 would be an upgraded motherboard, RAM, and processor, and they would kind of start pushing it a little bit forward that way. Now the only problem with this is they at the older generation would start to drop off, so it'd have to create some type of graphics slider to keep those, to really push it to the next level. We recommend this hardware to, actually project 4K, not upscale to 4K, but project 4K. Another thing that they could potentially do to sell me on this is if they did some type of bundle to where maybe you get the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation VR. With these two combined, you get kind of a discount in order to kind of promote players that maybe don't play, that play their PlayStation 4, that aren't getting PlayStation VR, to maybe kind of teeter them towards maybe adopting that software. That I don't see really happening, but I would like to see third-party retailers really try to push that and sell like an overall package deal with some discounts involved. Now, those are like 3 selling points that could potentially get me to purchase a 4.5. Mainly, it's just going to be the backwards compatibility. If that's in there for just PlayStation 3 alone, which I have about 60 games for, I would be willing to part with my PlayStation 3 and my PlayStation 4 and try to upgrade depending on what they would give me for trade-in. Other than that, let's focus on the other spectrum. Maybe you just currently bought a PlayStation 4. Now, I do have a friend that just currently bought a PlayStation 4, and when he told me about it, I told him, why didn't you just wait for PlayStation 4.5? It's coming in less than 6 months or so. And his response was, fuck it, I'll just trade in the old PS4 and get the new 4.5. But then again, he doesn't really game all too much, so to him that's worth the investment in order to get started. But there are some people that maybe scrounged, for $400 to just get the system, and they just got it, and now you're telling me my graphics aren't going to look as good as the guy that just went out and got it after it's launched. Unfortunately, that does suck. I understand that being frustrated. I understand being in that financial situation is extremely frustrating when you just got your hands on the console. Just note this, though, that you are able to still play any PlayStation 4 game. It may not load as fast, may not look way like any better, like a smidge better, but you're still going to get those experiences. And we all seen Uncharted 4. If you haven't seen Uncharted 4, it makes the PlayStation 4, the regular PlayStation 4, look amazing. It's the best looking game I've ever played right now, and I own a gaming PC, and I will hands down stand by that. That game was, for what the PlayStation 4 hardware is and what it could graphically could do, there's no spectrum on like, we need this upgrade. It's not like that. So keep that in mind. If you haven't seen screenshots of Uncharted 4, look it up. It looks amazing on regular PlayStation 4. So if you're going to surpass that with every game, that's going to be shocking. One, two, for games that are actually going to utilize that extra 20% increase in performance, I find that a lot of game companies aren't. That they're just going to make sure that it runs on that hardware SKU, but not really push the limits of it. Because that opens a whole nother can of worms of like, we may have bugs on SKU A and SKU B. So those people, I do feel for you. I do understand where you're coming from. I was initially that way, but once I slept on it, I was just like, fuck it, I'll wait for PlayStation 5. I don't have a 4K TV. You know, that's a big thing. If you're not upscaling to 4K, it really doesn't matter. You're still going to be able to play in 1080 and still have an amazing console, very powerful console. Now, overall conclusion. Now, should a Sony have done this really? That will be the question that needs to be answered. If this is successful for them, I will be a little bit shocked. If I don't think it's gonna blow up in their face really hard, but I think it could be like, you know, maybe we shouldn't have done that. This really hurt console sales and slow them down, but it could also boost them up in console sales if they price cut the original PlayStation 4 for the holiday season, throw out some good deals out there for those individuals that maybe were looking at getting into a PS4 but want a cheaper version of it, and then really push the PlayStation Neo to where you're getting, you know, these other individuals that are upgrading their systems. Those are all going to count as sales. So it's going to look like the PlayStation 4 sales are inflated. Definitely, because people are going to be selling their PS4s, trading them in, and then buying that system. And then that's going to inflate numbers and make Sony look even better. And investors like numbers. So with that being said, me, honestly, I'm not mad that they're doing the 4.5. It was eventually going to happen sooner or later with console gaming, is that as fast as technology is progressing, you can't just have a single box for X amount of years, like 10 years, and then expect it to keep up with modern graphics and everything like that. So this might be PlayStation's way of battling PC users to saying like, hey, if you do come to console gaming, we do offer upgrades. But the only issue is that those upgrades are going to be at Sony's disposal. I don't think they're going to allow third parties to come in to where PC, you may have, you know, an NVIDIA graphics card, an AMD graphics card, but they're different tiers. They do different things. You know, you have different brands in those. So that's kind of where I don't know if they're going to draw a line in the sand and be like, you can only get it through us, kind of like the Vita memory cards. Then are they going to be overcharging? Again, that price has to be right for those individuals. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. Don't forget to leave a comment down below of what you think of PlayStation 4.5. If you're getting one, great, you know, have a discussion. If you're not getting one, let me know why you're not getting one. If there's something I maybe missed in this video, put it down below. I'll reply to you. Anyways, if you guys want to see more content on YouTube, go ahead and click the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and I'll see you guys next time.